Pierre McGuire is a busy man, NBC Sports Emmy award-winning Inside the Glass analyst, and exclusive coverage of the Stanley Cup Final continues Thursday night at 8 Eastern on NBC from Las Vegas with Game 5 with the Caps on the verge of the Cup. Pierre, thanks for joining us. Recap last night, if you will.
Dan, first of all, I'm never too busy to visit with you, and I want to apologize in advance. There'll be some background noise. I'm at gate G21 at the Minneapolis-St. Paul Airport, so you'll hear some Delta folks announcing takeoffs and landings. That being said, divine intervention played a role in last night's game. Star power played a role in last night's game for the Washington Capitals. Physicality played a role in the outcome of the game last night. But more than anything else, I think the ability of Washington to sustain quick strike offense, and it carried over from Game 3 to Game 4. That's been a huge factor, and the game breakers have been Evgeny Kuznetsov and Alexander Ovechkin.
Is the better team winning?
The deeper team is winning right now, Dan. I don't know if they're the better team yet. They probably will be at some point, but they're the deeper team, and part of their depth is down the middle. When you look at Nicholas Backstrom and you look at Evgeny Kuznetsov, you look at Lars Eller, and you look at Jay Beagle, I don't know if Vegas has enough to match up down the middle with that foursome, and that makes it really a difficult game to play.
When did this series turn?
Great question. I would say in the Braden Holtby save against Alex Tuck at the tail end of Game 2, if that puck goes in, there's so much enthusiasm and momentum in the series for Vegas. They're probably going into overtime and potentially win. Who knows? I can't tell you, but that was a series momentum swinging save. And you could see that Washington built off that. You know, Dan, I'm not a big fan that you can bring momentum from game to game to game in the playoffs in hockey, but what I do believe you can do is you can bring moments from game to game to game. And the moment that will resonate is the save by Holtby against Tuck in Game 2.
We like our superstars, our all-time greats, to win championships. I mean, that's how we validate greatness. You move up the list, you move down the list in accordance to how many titles. What does this do, if he wins a title, for Alex Ovechkin and how he's viewed historically?
This will solidify his reputation as one of the greatest goal scorers in the history of the National Hockey League, even though numbers would tell you he's already that. He's got over 600 goals in 13 years in the league, which is phenomenal. He's never scored fewer than 32 goals in any one season. He had 49 this year, Dan. I mean, the numbers don't lie on him. But what this does, if it were to happen, it would definitely point him in the direction of one of the greatest goal scorers in the history of the game. Now, I'll give you a list of some guys that are in the Hockey Hall of Fame, like Rod Gilbert, who's a legend, Jean Rattel, who's a legend. They never won the Stanley Cup. And you can look at the modern era. Paul Kariya was in the last Hall of Fame class. He never won a Stanley Cup. So, you know, they're guys that are in the Hockey Hall of Fame that didn't need the cup to solidify their reputation. But what this would do for Ovechkin would solidify, I think, his stature as one of the greatest goal scorers in the history of the game.
Who would be your top five? You know, can you do players, or if I just said goal scorers, are you just going to run down the list of those who have the most goals?
Yeah, no, I'd rather do players, man.
Okay.
I think it's probably better that way. You know, I would start with Bobby Orr and Wayne Gretzky and Mario Lemieux and Gordie Howe. And then after that, it's open to debate. But I would say those would probably be your preeminent. Most people would say that have been around the league making a living at it, that those would probably be the best players of all time. Bobby Orr totally revolutionized and changed how the game was played with offense from the defense. Wayne Gretzky, I don't think anybody could argue with his greatness. Mario Lemieux, had he not, been stricken with cancer and back ailments, who knows what kind of numbers he would have put up. And Gordie Howe, the late Gordie Howe, but Mr. Hockey to everybody that, knew him, just an unbelievable talent.
What do you think the Golden Knights' success will mean for other sports going in there? I know the Raiders are going in there. Can you see this being, opening up even wider where an NBA or a baseball team ends up in Las Vegas?
Hard for me to speak about the other sports because I just don't know what their mentalities will be going forward. Obviously, I think you've been talking about it a fair bit too, Dan, is the legalizing of gambling on sports teams. I think that could really change a lot of what's going to happen in the whole sports universe. So I think that's something to watch. I really can't speak for the other sports. I don't know them intimately enough in terms of their decision making, but I can tell you this. it's worked magnificently well with hockey. That fan base is electrifying, Dan. It is one of the best hockey experiences you can ever have. And you talk about friendly, knowledgeable, and just excitable fans. They have it, and it's just a fantastic market. And, everybody, Bill Foley deserves a lot of credit, but so do the Maloof brothers, who are part owners of that team. They really understand the Vegas landscape, and I think they've done a magnificent job having the team galvanized with the community, especially after the terrible shooting tragedy before the season started.
Have you had one of those moments, those in-game interviews behind the glass, like it was awkward?
Only when I'm talking to you. I'm joking, Dan. I'm joking. No, you know what? We haven't had any John Tortorella moments. No, everything's been great. Barry Trotz has been fantastic. Gerard Gallant's been great to deal with. The players on both teams have been excellent. I think probably the funniest one was Evgeny Kuznetsov after he scored the overtime winner against Pittsburgh, and they knocked Pittsburgh out. And I said to him, "Were you worried about going home?" He goes, "No, my wife was on vacation."
Recap the Tortorella story.
Oh, John just didn't want to be that. John's an intense character.
You know what? I love his press conferences. It's must-see TV for me when Torts, because if you ask him a question, you're going to get an answer depending on his mood.
Yeah, that's exactly right. It's a good thing sometimes we have them on tape because there's some curse words that are in there, Dan, that wouldn't always work out too well.
Oh, he's a character, man. Hey, safe travels, Pierre, and thanks for joining us. Have fun Thursday night.
Thanks so much, Dan. I really appreciate it. It's fantastic visiting with you, and thanks for supporting hockey, Dan. It means a lot.
Thank you, buddy. That's Pierre McGuire, NBC Sports Emmy Award-winning Inside the Glass analyst.
For more Dan Patrick Show, tune to Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV or download the Dan Patrick Show app.